August 21 is the 233rd day of the year, 234th in leap years in the Gregorian calendar. 132 days remain until the end of the year. Pre-1600. 959, Heraclius becomes the 25th bishop of Ligi. 1140, Song dynasty general Yufei defeats an army led by Jin dynasty general Wuzhu at the Battle of Yancheng during the Jin-Song Wars. 1169, Battle of the Blacks, uprising by the Black African forces of the Fatimid army, along with a number of Egyptian emirs and commoners, against Saladin. The uprising is defeated after 2 days, consolidating Saladin's position as master of Egypt. 1192, Minamoto no Yoritomo becomes Seiyai Taishogun and the de facto ruler of Japan. 1331, King Stefan Uri, after months of anarchy, surrenders to his son and rival Stefan Duin, who succeeds as king of Serbia. 1415, Henry the Navigator leads Portuguese forces to victory over the Marinids at the conquest of Ceuta. 1601-1900. 1680, Pueblo Indians capture Santa Fe from the Spanish during the Pueblo Revolt. 1689, the Battle of Dunkeld in Scotland. 1716, Seventh Ottoman-Venetian War. The arrival of naval reinforcements and the news of the Battle of Petrovaradin forced the Ottomans to abandon the siege of Corfu, thus preserving the Ionian Islands under Venetian rule. 1770, James Cook formally claims Eastern Australia for Great Britain, naming it New South Wales. 1772, King Gustaf I completes his coup d'état by adopting a new constitution, ending half a century of parliamentary rule in Sweden and installing himself as an enlightened despot. 1778, American Revolutionary War. British forces begin besieging the French outpost at Pondicherry. 1791, a Vadu ceremony, led by Dudipman, turns into a violent slave rebellion, beginning the Haitian Revolution. 1808, Battle of Vimeiro. British and Portuguese forces led by General Arthur Wellesley defeat French force under Major General Jean Andoche unit near the village of Vimeiro, Portugal, the first Anglo-Portuguese victory of the Peninsular War. 1810, Jean-Baptiste Bernadotte, Marshal of France, is elected Crown Prince of Sweden by the Swedish Riksdag of the Estates. 1821, Jarvis Island is discovered by the crew of the ship Eliza Francis. 1831, Nat Turner leads black slaves and free blacks in a rebellion in Southampton County, Virginia, which will claim the lives of 55 to 65 whites and about twice that number of blacks. 1852, Tlingit Indians destroy Fort Selkirk, Yukon Territory. 1858, the first of the Lincoln-Douglas debates is held in Ottawa, Illinois. 1862, the Stadtpark, the first public park in Vienna, opens to the public. 1863, Lawrence, Kansas is destroyed by pro-Confederate guerrillas known as Quantrill's Raiders. 1878, the American Bar Association is founded in Saratoga Springs, New York. 1879, the locals of Knock, County Mayo, Ireland report their having seen an apparition of the Virgin Mary. The apparition is later named Our Lady of Knock and the spot transformed into a Catholic pilgrimage site. 1883, an F5 tornado strikes Rochester, Minnesota, leading to the creation of the Mayo Clinic. 1888, the first successful adding machine in the United States is patented by William Seward Burroughs. 1901 present. 1901, 600 American school teachers, Thomasites, arrived in Manila on the USAT Thomas. 1911, the Mona Lisa is stolen by Vincenzo Perugia, a Louvre employee. 1914, World War I. The Battle of Charleroi, a successful German attack across the River Sambre that preempted a French offensive in the same area. 1918, World War I. The Second Battle of the Somme begins. 1942, World War I. The Guadalcanal Campaign. American forces defeat an attack by Imperial Japanese Army soldiers in the Battle of the Tenaru. 1944, Dumbarton Oaks Conference, prelude to the United Nations, begins. 1944, World War I. Canadian and Polish units capture the strategically important town of Falaise, Calvados, France. 1945, physicist Harry Daghlian is fatally irradiated in a criticality accident during an experiment with the Demon Core at Los Alamos National Laboratory. 1957, the Soviet Union successfully conducts a long-range test flight of the R-7 Semyorka, the first intercontinental ballistic missile. 1959, United States President Dwight D. Eisenhower signs an executive order proclaiming Hawaii the 50th state of the Union. Hawaii's admission is currently commemorated by Hawaii Admission Day. 1963 XLI Pagoda raids. The Army of the Republic of Vietnam Special Forces loyal to Nguyen Nu, brother of President Ngo Dinh Diem, vandalizes Buddhist pagodas across the country, arresting thousands and leaving an estimated hundreds dead. 1965 The Socialist Republic of Romania is proclaimed, following the adoption of a new constitution. 1968 Cold War. Nicolae Ceausescu, leader of the Socialist Republic of Romania, publicly condemns the Soviet-led Warsaw Pact invasion of Czechoslovakia, encouraging the Romanian population to arm itself against possible Soviet reprisals. 1968 James Anderson Jr. posthumously receives the first Medal of Honor to be awarded to an African-American U.S. Marine. 1971 A bomb exploded in the Liberal Party campaign rally in Plaza Miranda, Manila, Philippines, with several anti-Marcos political candidates injured. 1982 Lebanese Civil War. The first troops of a multinational force lands in Beirut to oversee the Palestine Liberation Organization's withdrawal from Lebanon. 1983 Philippine opposition leader Benigno Aquino Jr. is assassinated at Manila International Airport. 1986 Carbon dioxide gas erupts from volcanic Lake Nyas in Cameroon, killing up to 1,800 people within a 20-kilometer range. 1988 The 6.9 MW Nepal earthquake shakes the Nepal-India border with a maximum Mercalli intensity of VA, leaving 1,450 people killed and thousands injured. 1991 Latvia declares renewal of its full independence after its occupation by the Soviet Union since 1940. 1991 Coup attempt against Mikhail Gorbachev collapses. 1993 NASA loses contact with the Mars Observer spacecraft. 1994 Royal Air Maroc Flight 630 crashes in Dar es Salaam, Morocco, killing all 44 people on board. 1995 Atlantic Southeast Airlines Flight 529 and Embraer M120 Brasilia attempts to divert to West Georgia Regional Airport after the left engine fails, but the aircraft crashes in Carroll County near Carrollton, Georgia, killing 9 of the 29 people on board. 2000 American golfer Tiger Woods wins the 82nd PGA Championship and becomes the first golfer since Ben Hogan in 1953 to win 3 majors in a calendar year. 2013 Hundreds of people are reported killed by chemical attacks in the Ghouta region of Syria. 2017 A solar eclipse traverses the continental United States. Births pre-1600. 1165 Philippe of France. 1481 Jorge de Lancaster, Duke of Coimbra. 1535 Shimazu Yoshihiro, Japanese general. 1552 Muhammad Qadiri, founder of the Nashahia branch of the Qadri order. 1567 Francis de Sales, Swiss bishop and saint. 1579 Henry, Duke of Rohan. 1597 Roger Twiston, English historian and politician. 1601 1900 1625 John Claypole, English politician. 1643 Afonso V of Portugal. 1660 Hubert Gautier, French mathematician and engineer. 1665 Giacomo F. Maraldi, French-Italian astronomer and mathematician. 1670 James Fitzjames, 1st Duke of Berwick, French general and politician, Lord Lieutenant of Hampshire. 1725 Jean-Baptiste Gros, French painter and educator. 1754 William Murdoch, Scottish engineer and inventor, created gas lighting. 1754 Banastre Tarleton, English general and politician. 1765 William IV of the United Kingdom. 1789 Augustin Louis Cauchy, French mathematician and academic. 1798 Jules Michelet, French historian and philosopher. 1800 Hiram Walden, American general and politician. 1801 Guillaume Groen van Prinsterer, Dutch historian and politician. 1813 Jean Stas, Belgian chemist and physician. 1816 Charles F. Dirick Gerhardt, French chemist and academic. 1823 Nathaniel Everett Green, English painter and astronomer. 1826 Carl Gegenbauer, German anatomist and academic. 1829 Otto Goldschmidt, German composer, conductor and pianist. 1840 Ferdinand Hammer, Dutch bishop and missionary. 1851, Charles Barrois, French geologist and paleontologist. 1856, Medora de Vallombrosa, Marquise de Moraes, American heiress. 1858, Rudolph, Crown Prince of Austria. 1862, Emilio Salgari, Italian journalist and author. 1869, William Henry Ogilvy, Scottish-Australian poet and author. 1872, Aubrey Beardsley, English author and illustrator. 1878, Richard Gyarlatis, German footballer and manager. 1879, Claude Gromwhite, English pilot and engineer. 1884, Chandler Egan, American golfer and architect. 1885, Duart Faber, Canadian runner. 1886, Ruth Manning Sanders, Welsh English author and poet. 1887, James Paul Moody, English sailor. 1891, Emiliano Mercado del Toro, Puerto Rican American soldier. 1892, Charles Vanul, French actor and director. 1894, Christian Schad, German painter. 1895, Blossom Rock, American actress. 1897, Keith Arbuthnot, 15th Viscount of Arbuthnot, Scottish soldier and peer. 1901 present. 1902, Angel Karalich of Bulgarian author. 1903, Kostas Giannidis, Greek pianist, composer, and conductor. 1904, Count Basie, American pianist, composer, and bandleader. 1905, Bipin Gupta, Indian actor and producer. 1906, Friz Freleng, American animator, director, and producer. 1907, P. Jivanandam, Indian lawyer and politician. 1909, Nikolay Bogolyubov, Russian mathematician and physicist. 1912, Toe Blake, Canadian ice hockey player and coach. 1914, Doug Wright, English cricketer and coach. 1916, Bill Lee, American actor and singer. 1916, Consuelo Velázquez, Mexican pianist and songwriter. 1917, Leonid Hurwicz, Russian economist and mathematician. 1918, Billy Ray, Canadian-American ice hockey player and coach. 1921, Reuven Feuerstein, Romanian-Israeli psychologist and academic. 1922, Albert Irvin, English soldier and painter. 1923, Keith Allen, Canadian-American ice hockey player, coach, and manager. 1924, Jack Buck, American sportscaster. 1924, Jack Weston, American actor. 1926, Ken Weissel, Turkish poet and translator. 1927, Thomas S. Monson, American religious leader, 16th President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. 1928, Addison Farmer, American bassist. 1928, Art Farmer, American trumpet player and composer. 1928, Bud MC Faden, American football player. 1929, Herman Badillo, Puerto Rican American lawyer and politician. 1929, X.J. Kennedy, American poet, translator, anthologist, editor. 1929, Ahmed Kathrada, South African politician and political prisoner. 1930, Princess Margaret, Countess of Snowdon. 1930, Frank Perry, American director, producer, and screenwriter. 1932, Menash Kadishman, Israeli sculptor and painter. 1932, Melvin Van Peebles, American actor, director, and screenwriter. 1933, Janet Baker, English soprano and educator. 1933, Michael Dacker, German mountaineer. 1933, Barry Norman, English author and critic. 1933, Eric Posk, Danish actor and singer. 1934, Sudha Kraunaik, Indian lawyer and politician, 13th Chief Minister of Maharashtra. 1934, Paul Panheesen, Dutch composer. 1936, Wilt Chamberlain, American basketball player and coach. 1936, Radish Tordia, Georgian painter and educator. 1937, Donald Dewar, Scottish lawyer and politician, First Minister of Scotland. 1937, Gustavo Noboa, Ecuadorian academic and politician, 51st President of Ecuador. 1937, Robert Stone, American novelist and short story writer. 1938, Kenny Rogers, American singer-songwriter, guitarist, producer, and actor. 1938 Mike Weston, English rugby player. 1939 James Burton, American Hall of Fame guitarist. 1939 Festus Mogue, Botswana economist and politician, 3rd President of Botswana. 1939 Clarence Williams IE, American actor. 1940 Dominic Herod, English journalist, historian, and author. 1940 Endre Shimerdi, Hungarian-American mathematician and computer scientist. 1941 Jackie D. Shannon, American singer-songwriter. 1943 Patrick Demarcalier, French photographer. 1943 Jonathan Skell, American journalist and author. 1943 Lucius Shepard, American author and critic. 1943 Hugh Wilson, American actor, director, producer, and screenwriter. 1944 Perry Christie, Bahamian politician, 3rd Prime Minister of the Bahamas. 1944 Peter Weir, Australian director, producer, and screenwriter. 1945 Basil Polidris, Greek-American composer, conductor. 1945 Celia Brayfield, English journalist and author. 1945 Jerry Davanen, American baseball player. 1945 Willie Lanier, American football player. 1945 Patty M.C. Cormack, American actress. 1947 Carl Jamares, American singer-songwriter and musician. 1949 Loretta Devine, American actress and singer. 1949 Daniel Sivan, Israeli scholar and academic. 1950 Patrick Juvet, Swiss singer-songwriter and model. 1951 Eric Goels, Chilean mathematician and computer scientist. 1951 Jana Mintoff, Maltese politician, economist and educator. 1951 Chesley V. Morton, American businessman and politician. 1952 Keith Hart, Canadian firefighter, wrestler, and trainer. 1952 G. Perubik, Czech soldier and politician, 6th Prime Minister of the Czech Republic. 1952 Bernadette Porter, English nun and educator. 1952 Joe Strummer, English singer-songwriter and guitarist. 1953 Ivan Stang, American author, publisher, and director. 1954 Archie Griffin, American football player. 1954 Steve Smith, American drummer. 1954 Mark Williams, New Zealand-Australian singer-songwriter. 1956 Kim Cattrall, English-Canadian actress. 1956 John Tester, American farmer and politician. 1957 Frank Pastore, American baseball player and radio host. 1958 Mark Williams, Australian footballer and coach. 1959 Anne Hobbs, English tennis player and coach. 1959 Jim MC Mahan, American football player and coach. 1961 Gerardo Barbero, Argentinian chess player and coach. 1961 V.P. Chandrasekhar, Indian cricketer and coach. 1961 Stephen Hillenberg, American marine biologist, cartoonist, animator and creator of SpongeBob SquarePants. 1962 John Korfaz, Greek-American basketball player and coach. 1962 Pete Weber, American bowler. 1963 Mohammed V of Morocco, King of Morocco. 1963 Nigel Pearson, English footballer and manager. 1964 Gary Elkerton, Australian surfer. 1965 Jim Bullinger, American baseball player. 1966 John Wetterland, American baseball player and coach. 1967 Darren Bewick, Australian footballer. 1967 Charb, French journalist and cartoonist. 1967 Carrie Ann Moss, Canadian actress. 1967 Serge Tankian, Lebanese-born Armenian-American singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and record producer. 1968 Dina Carroll, English singer-songwriter. 1968 Goran Urko, Serbian footballer. 1968 Laura Trevelyan, English journalist and author. 1969 Bruce Anstey, New Zealand motorcycle racer. 1969 Josie Chouinard, Canadian figure skater. 1970, Craig Counsell, American baseball player and coach. 1970, Eric Decker, Dutch cyclist and manager. 1970, Kathy Wezaluk, Canadian actress. 1971, Mamadou Diallo, Senegalese footballer. 1971, Robert Harvey, Australian footballer and coach. 1971, Liam Howlett, English keyboard player, DJ, and producer. 1973, Sergey Brin, Russian-American computer scientist and businessman, co-founded Google. 1973, Steve McKenna, Canadian ice hockey player and coach. 1974, Martin Andonner, Filipino journalist and radio host. 1974, Paul Mellor, Australian rugby league player and referee. 1975, Simon Katich, Australian cricketer and manager. 1976, Alex Brooks, American ice hockey player and scout. 1976, Jeff Cunningham, Jamaican-American soccer player. 1976, Robert Miles, Australian rugby league player. 1976, Ram Envisquez, Puerto Rican-American baseball player and coach. 1978, Peter Buxton, English rugby player and manager. 1978, Ruben Drowns, American football player and coach. 1978, Lee Gronkovich, American baseball player and coach. 1978, Alan Lee, Irish footballer and coach. 1978, Jason Markey, American baseball player. 1979, Kellis, American singer-songwriter, producer, chef and author. 1980, Bernie Lamar, American race car driver. 1980, Paul Menard, American race car driver. 1980, Jasmine WHR, German tennis player. 1981, Jared Lyle, Australian golfer. 1981, Cameron Winkley Voss, American rower and businessman, co-founded ConnectU. 1981, Tyler Winkley Voss, American rower and businessman, co-founded ConnectU. 1981, Ross Thomas, American actor. 1982, Jason Eaton, New Zealand rugby player. 1982, Omar Sachedina, Canadian television journalist, correspondent, and news anchor. 1983, Scott McDonald, Australian footballer. 1984, Neil Dexter, South African cricketer. 1984, Melvin Upton, Jr., American baseball player. 1985, Nicolas Almagro, Spanish tennis player. 1985, Alexandra Kiryashova, Russian pole vaulter. 1986, Usain Bolt, Jamaican sprinter. 1986, Wout Brama, Dutch footballer. 1986, Kiki Sakamoto, Japanese gymnast. 1988, Robert Lewandowski, Polish footballer. 1988, Casey Musgraves, American singer-songwriter and guitarist. 1989, Charlison Benchop, Dutch footballer. 1989, James Davey, English rugby league player. 1989, Matteo Gentili, Italian footballer. 1989, Hayden Panettiere, American actress. 1989, Alix Vidal, Spanish footballer. 1990, Bo Burnham, American comedian, musician, actor, filmmaker and poet. 1991, Leandro Bacuna, Dutch footballer. 1992, Felipe Nasser, Brazilian race car driver. Deaths pre-1600. 672, Emperor Keibun of Japan. 784, Albrecht, Archbishop of Utrecht. 913, Tang Deoxy, Chinese general. 1131, King Baldwin I of Jerusalem. 1148, William I, Count of Nevers. 1157, Alfonso V of Leon and Castile. 1245, Alexander of Hales, English theologian. 1271, Alphonse, Count of Poitiers. 1534, Philippe Villiers de l'Isle Adam, 44th Grand Master of the Knights Hospitaller. 1568, Jean Prissot de Valette, 49th Grand Master of the Knights Hospitaller. 1601 1900. 1614, Elizabeth Bithari, Hungarian countess and purported serial killer. 1622, Juan de Tassis, 2nd Count of Villena Mediana, Spanish poet and politician. 1627 Jacques Maudut, French composer and academic. 1673 Henry Grey, 1st Earl of Stamford, English soldier. 1689 William Cleland, Scottish poet and soldier. 1762 Lady Mary Wortley Montagu, English author, poet and playwright. 1763 Charles Wyndham, 2nd Earl of Egremont, English politician, Secretary of State for the Southern Department. 1775 Zahir al-Umar, Arabian ruler. 1796 John M. C. Kinley, American physician and politician, 1st Governor of Delaware. 1814 Benjamin Thompson, American English physicist and colonel. 1835 John McCulloch, Scottish geologist and academic. 1836 Claude Louis Navier, French physicist and engineer. 1838 Adalbert von Chamisso, German botanist and poet. 1853 Charles Tristan, Marquis de Montauban, French general. 1854 Thomas Clayton, American lawyer and politician. 1867 Juan Lavarez, Mexican general and president. 1870 Ma Xinyu, Chinese general and politician, viceroy of Liangjiang. 1888 James Farnell, Australian politician, 8th Premier of New South Wales. 1901 present. 1905 Alexander von Odinen, Estonian theologian and statistician. 1910 Bertalan S. Kelly, Hungarian painter and academic. 1911 Mahbub Ali Khan, 6th Nizam of Hyderabad State. 1919 Lawrence Doherty, English tennis player. 1935 John Hartley, English tennis player. 1940 Hermann Albrecht, Swiss lawyer and politician. 1940 Ernest Thayer, American poet and author. 1940 Leon Trotsky, Russian theorist and politician, founded the Red Army. 1943 Henrik Pontoppidan, Danish journalist and author, Nobel Prize laureate. 1947 Ettore Bugatti, Italian-French engineer and businessman, founded Bugatti. 1951 Constant Lambert, English composer and conductor. 1957 Mehmet Sonerk, Estonian author and playwright. 1957 Nels Stewart, Canadian ice hockey player. 1957 Harald Sverdrup, Norwegian meteorologist and oceanographer. 1960 David B. Steinman, American engineer, designed the Mackinac Bridge. 1964 Palmiro Togliatti, Italian journalist and politician, Italian Minister of Justice. 1968 Germaine Gouvremont, Canadian journalist and author. 1971 George Jackson, American activist and author, co-founded the Black Guerrilla family. 1974 Buford Pusser, American police officer. 1974 Kirpal Singh, Indian spiritual master. 1978 Charles Eames, American architect, co-designed the Eames House. 1979 Giuseppe Meazza, Italian footballer and manager. 1981 Kaka Kalalkar, Indian Hindi writer. 1983 Benigno Aquino Jr., Filipino journalist and politician. 1988 Teodoro de Villadias, Filipino guitarist and songwriter. 1988 Ray Eames, American architect, co-designed the Eames House. 1989 Raul Seixas, Brazilian singer-songwriter and producer. 1993 Tatiana Troyanos, American soprano and actress. 1995 Subramanian Chandrasekhar, Indian-American astrophysicist and mathematician, Nobel Prize laureate. 1995 Chuck Stevenson, American race car driver. 1996 Mary Tuax Early, Canadian Indigenous women's rights activist. 2000 Tomita Duplanty, American singer-songwriter and playwright. 2000 Daniel Lisulo, Zambian politician, 3rd Prime Minister of Zambia. 2000 Andre Zawada, Polish mountaineer and author. 2001 Callum McKay, Canadian ice hockey player. 2003 John Coplands, British artist. 2003 Kathy Wilkes, English philosopher and academic. 2004 Sachidananda Ray, Indian Urdu language poet. 2005 Martin Dillon, American tenor and educator. 2005 Robert Moog, American businessman, founded Moog Music. 2005 Dalia Ravikovich, Israeli poet and translator. 2005 Marcus Schmuck, Austrian mountaineer. 2006 Bismillah Khan, Indian musician, Bharat Ratna recipient. 2006 Paul Fentener van Vlissingen, Dutch businessman and philanthropist. 2007 Shaban Daud, British author. 2007 Elizabeth P. Hoisington, American general. 2008 Jerry Finn, American engineer and producer. 2009 Rex Shelley, Singaporean engineer and author. 2010 Rodolfo Enrique Fogwill, Argentinian sociologist and author. 2012 Georg Lieber, German soldier and politician, Federal Minister of Defense for Germany. 2012 J. Frank Raleigh Jr., American soldier and politician. 2012 Don Raleigh, Canadian ice hockey player and coach. 2012 Guy Spitales, Belgian academic and politician, 7th Minister President of Wallonia. 2012 William Thurston, American mathematician and academic. 2013 Jean Berkey, American lawyer and politician. 2013 Sid Bernstein, American record producer. 2013 C. Gordon Fullerton, American colonel, engineer, and astronaut. 2013 Fred Martin, Scottish footballer. 2013 Inaz Mkala, Zimbabwean politician, Zimbabwean Minister of Defense. 2014 Jerry Anderson, Irish radio and television host. 2014 Helen Bamber, English psychotherapist and academic. 2014 Stephen R. Nagel, American colonel, engineer, and astronaut. 2014 Jean Redpath, Scottish singer-songwriter. 2014 Albert Reynolds, Irish businessman and politician, 9th Taoiseach of Ireland. 2015 Colin Baer, New Zealand lawyer and businessman. 2015 Wang Dongxing, Chinese commander and politician. 2015 Jimmy Evert, American tennis player and coach. 2017 Bahram Regshapi, first Kosovan Prime Ministers of UN Mission Administration in Kosovo. 2018 Stefan Karl Stephenson, Icelandic actor and singer. 2019 Celso Paye, Mexican singer, composer, arranger, and accordionist.